I'm about to draw some cards
Nice. Nice choose some
on the
line.
good old Owen branded trademarked tarot deck.
Should I show the picture? Maybe I can pull up the
Yeah,
picture, show it
I made some changes to it, but that just about gives the gist of it. So let's see what we draw. We got Reverse Winter, which is also Cup and Water, North and Heart. We got the Mushroom,
I was wondering what that was. It kind of looks like the Aries symbol, but I didn't know what it was.
and we got Reverse Lightning,
Mm.
which you could
Yeah, these
also think of as like a crack or a fracturing, but in reverse. Hmm.
reverse cards. I don't do the reverse cards when I do tarot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need the
Like
reverse. Otherwise, if I like, I need to give myself a chance if I draw death.
every once in a while I'll get a reverse card because I like put it in the deck really the wrong way or something. And
Yeah.
that's always noteworthy.
I like baked the reverse mechanic into my
Hmm.
deck. Like there's like a card that like or like here, like there's the fish and it will face left or right depending on how you draw it. And it's
Hmm.
like ambiguous which way. It's not like really supposed to be either way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's
did that
cool.
with like an arrow too, pointing up and down, depending on
Yeah.
how you draw it. I was thinking about, I wanted to have a deck, I think, with square cards too, because then it's like you could get really crazy with it and you could draw it like sideways too,
That's
like
true.
left or
Yeah.
right handed. I don't know
Yeah.
what the symbolic significance of that might be, but
Hmm. No, I think that's cool. Yeah.
this might be my favorite card. I don't know if you can see it.
Um, oh, that one wasn't on this. How many
No, it
cards do you
wasn't
have
yet.
now?
53.
Whoa. Okay, this one was I think you said I forget how many you said, but
Yeah, that one, I think it was 40.
heard that.
Yeah, so this guy might be my favorite. It's
Hmm.
just a bunch of dots that you're free to constellate on your own.
That's fine.
See, we got fruit. Let's see. I added, so I got the moon phases, which could be waxing or waning, depending on how you draw it.
Hmm.
And then I have, I added like lunar eclipse. Since I had solar eclipse, I felt
Oh,
like
neat.
it only made
Yeah.
sense to also have lunar.
Hmm.
Let's see. Oh yeah, so I had the 52 cards, and then the 53rd card, which was like a Joker, is just a blank card.
I think that's cool, man.
First,
So,
I was gonna go with like suits, but I kind of just ended up with like four aces, I guess, and the rest, everything is just kind of its own major arcana, I guess you could call it.
hmm.
So for like swords or wands or whatever, I kind of just collapsed all quaternities I could think of into one card. So this one is simultaneously fire, wand, south, left, club, summer, noon, and the lion is like the I feel like the incorporeal creatures are probably like the purest um expression of quaternity. So I went with those as like my
Hmm.
centerpieces on these cards. So
Okay.
man, lion, ox, whatever else.
Yeah, neat. Wow. Do you have like
Spiral.
a spiral? Have you started to use them in like spiritual practice? Like, do you draw one at the beginning of every day or something? Or like, are you treating them
So
like questions? Like, is that kind of your
yeah,
approach?
yeah. So usually my method is shuffle. I draw three to let it speak for itself. And then if I have a question, I'll ask a question and draw it. So like the first time, I was just asking for like a fortune basically for the following day,
Hmm.
just to like get a sense of if these cards got that magic sauce or not. Um,
Yeah.
and it was funny because like, oh no. So that's not what happened. First I drew the first three, and then I was like, okay, the next three cards, my question is, what do these three cards mean? And then I drew like zero, I drew no, and I
Hmm.
drew like question mark or something. So like I felt
Hmm.
like the cards were just like mocking me and saying like you're the one who made me like this way, like and you're asking me what I mean, like
Yeah.
Um,
That reminds
and
me
then
of
I asked about the next day. Yeah.
asked about what?
I asked like how the next day was gonna
Oh,
go,
okay,
and
yeah, yeah, gotcha.
the cards I drew basically said that it would be a normal day, and it was a normal day. So I don't.
Or not. It reminds me of Carl Jung when he was first got into the I Ching. He was he asked a question like about the I Ching itself. Like
The tradition assumes that one can put questions to the I Ching and expect to receive intelligent answers. Thus, it occurred to me that it might interest the uninitiated reader to see the I Ching at work. For this purpose, I made an experiment strictly in accordance with the Chinese conception. I personified the book in a sense, asking its judgment about its present situation. My intention to present it to the Western mind. In accordance with which my question was phrased, the text of the hexagram must be regarded as though the I Ching itself were the speaking person. Thus, it describes itself as a cauldron, a ritual vessel containing cooked food. Food is understood as spiritual nourishment. The Ting, as a utensil pertaining to refined civilization, suggests the fostering and nourishing of able men, which redounded to the benefit of the state. Here we see civilization as it reaches its culmination in religion. The Ting serves in offering sacrifice to God. The supreme revelation of God appears in prophets and holy men. To venerate them is true veneration of God. The will of God, as revealed through them, should be accepted with humility. Keeping our hypothesis, we must conclude that the I Ching here is testifying concerning itself. When any of the lines of a given hexagram have the value of 6 or 9, it means they are especially emphasized in the interpretation. 9, the spiritual agencies in the hexagram have given the emphasis of a 9 in the lines in the second and in the third place. The text says, 9 in the second place means there is food in the Ting. My comrades are envious, but they cannot harm me. Good fortune. Thus, the I Ching says of itself, I contain spiritual nourishment. Since a share in something great always arouses envy, the chorus of the envious is part of the picture. The envious want to rob the I Ching of its great possession. That is, they seek to rob it of meaning or to destroy its meaning. But their enmity is in vain. Its richness of meaning is assured. That is, it is convinced of its positive achievements, which no one can take away. The text continues. 9 in the third place means the handle of the Ting is altered. One is impeded in his way of life. The fat of the pheasant is not eaten. Once rain falls, remorse is spent. Good fortune comes in the end. The handle is part of, and it's called griff, like a griffin, like the bird thingies, which is part by which the Ting can be grasped. Thus, it signifies the concept one has of the I Ching. In the course of time, this concept has apparently changed, so that today we can no longer grasp the I Ching. Thus, one is impeded in his way of life. We are no longer supported by the wise counsel and deep insight of the oracle. Therefore, we no longer find our way through the mazes of fate and the obscurities of our own natures. The fat of the pheasant, that is, the best and richest part of a good dish, is no longer eaten. But when the thirsty earth finally receives rain again, that is, when this state of want has been overcome, remorse, that is, sorrow over the loss of wisdom, is ended. And then comes the longed-for opportunity. Wilhelm comments, this describes a man who, in a highly evolved civilization, finds himself in a place where no one notices or recognizes him. This is a severe block to his effectiveness. The I Ching is complaining, as it were, that its excellent qualities go unrecognized and hence lie fallow. It comforts itself with the hope that it is about to regain recognition. The answer given in these two salient lines to the question I put to the I Ching requires no particular subtlety of interpretation, no artifices, no unusual knowledge. Anyone with a little common sense can understand the meaning of the answer. It is the answer of one who has a good opinion of himself, but whose value is neither generally recognized nor even widely known. The answering subject has an interesting notion of itself. It looks upon itself as a vessel in which sacrificial offerings are brought to the gods, ritual food for their nourishment. It conceives of itself as a cult utensil, serving to provide spiritual nourishment for the unconscious elements or forces, spiritual agencies, that have been projected as gods. In other words, to give these forces the attention they need in order to play their part in the life of the individual. Indeed, this is the original meaning of the word religio, a careful observation and taking account of the numinous. The method of the I Ching does indeed take into account the hidden individual quality in things and men, and in one's own unconscious self as well. I have questioned the I Ching as one questions a person whom one is about to introduce to friends. One asks whether or not it will be agreeable to him. In answer, the I Ching tells me of its religious significance, of the fact that at present it is unknown and misjudged, of its hope of being restored to a place of honor. This last, obviously, with a sidelong glance at my as yet unwritten foreword, and above all at the English translation. This means a perfectly understandable reaction, such as one could expect also from a person in a similar situation.
Did you read the Galahad article?
I did, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really sick. I think I need to redo my video when I was talking about Aries. He gave me a few more ideas to work with for this whole ionic study thing.
Mm.
I think it's really interesting. You know, everyone is so caught up on like the Pisces symbolism, since that's what Jung gave us, and no one's really been expanding on it besides Galahad, from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, that was my first thought as well. Like, it's cool to see somebody talking about this.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're an astrologer?
You know, I had a feeling you'd ask me that. I've definitely done that, I've definitely done that at times for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't label myself that way, but I've definitely, I mentioned that I think in one of my conversations, that it can go horribly. And yeah, there's definitely been times where I'm going full schizo on it. But
But
hopefully not though. Hopefully not.
yeah. So what's new with you?
What was your mirror? What was your reading? What did you see in the mirror?
What did I see? I'm trying to recall how it went. I just kept reflecting back about like my own kind of thing that I tried to do with Aries and unpacking that.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's see. He says like how the vernal equinox is like the transition point between one full ionic cycle to the next. That wasn't just any ionic shift. That was, meta ionic shift from one ionic year to the next. So
Yeah, I thought
that's
that part
something.
was really interesting. I think there was kind of a elephant in the room with regard to this Aquarian Christ idea, and I think he addressed it well, where it wouldn't be a new person, like maybe it would be a reframing of Christology, like we see Christ differently each aeon or something, yeah.
Yeah, with the whole speculation of like the coming of Christ and like the new ion, I think Galahad does a good job of pretty much explicitly saying like that will be the Antichrist. That will be, the false prophet
Yeah,
that will
yeah.
come and sway the masses. Like,
Yeah. People like to fling judgments at him, and I think that's probably one that he has gotten. And him clarifying, his position with regard to that is probably a good thing in
dude,
terms of
do
his
you ever get
like
worried that you might fall for the Antichrist? I feel like I
uh
might fall for it. I mean,
well, I
maybe I
mean, I
won't
think it would
because
be
like
I think it would be hubris to say that like I'm not, you know, I don't know. I'm
like
I,
I wonder like what the extent of it will be, because it's written that like, many priests and like the church itself to a certain extent will fall for the Antichrist, and
yeah. Well,
that's a
there's
freaky
ways
idea.
like are we conceptualizing, I don't know, I'm not super keen on all the details of this, like whether or not it's made explicit in the Holy Scriptures that um that the Antichrist would be like an individual person, like
Mhm.
do you know about that? Because
Well,
like
there's
there
like,
is like the spirit of Antichrist as well, right? It's like
yeah.
I don't know, yeah, because like what comes to mind first is like this during COVID, you had churches that you had to wear masks, you had to have a vaccine passport to come into the church. That
Hmm.
seems awfully poignant with regard to what we were just saying.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
with
COVID was a
regard to like
huge Antichrist move.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think, if we're conceptualizing it in this broader sense of like the broadest sense would be like materialism or something. It's like we're all kind of materialists to some extent, or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
in the context of like a single person, I don't know. I feel like I'm
Well,
more
I feel like inevitably it
hesitant.
has to like fall down onto someone. Like these spirits like
Yeah, like
collapse.
somebody
Like Ares, for instance, kind of like collapses into Alexander the Great and Caesar and stuff like that.
mm,
Um, Trying to think what else. Or like Aphrodite, we see it collapsing in like certain porn stars every now and then. Like Mia Khalifa, you
yeah, it's
remember,
the
like she
idea
just
of like
became
yeah,
ultimate
yeah,
memesized and like became just the full embodiment of the Whore of Babylon for like a solid year.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Um,
definitely like the embodiment of archetypes definitely
yeah,
happens. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Do you have
But
a do you have a
it's
theory?
definitely
Who do you think the Antichrist is?
oh my gosh.
Or do you think
No, I don't.
yeah, yeah. It's probably wise.
No, I don't think that we're gonna see it coming. I think that they're like a toddler right now or something like that. Like whoever
Mm,
they are, they are, I don't
mm.
think that they're known quite yet to the world. Maybe it's known to a few though. Like maybe they're like a test tube baby kind of situation. So like they're like unborn in a sense.
Yeah. Or it's we like to like the common things that people hear is like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, George Soros.
Right.
It's
Yeah, those
like
are all like
do you think
prototypes.
that would kind of like do you think that's along the right lines though? Like
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, they're all prototypes for the Antichrist.
Mm.
But none of them got that sauce, to that charisma.
Mm.
The Antichrist, I feel like to a certain extent, I'm gonna fuck with the Antichrist. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't think I'm gonna worship like the image of the beast and all that, but I think I'm gonna look at the Antichrist and think like, damn, this dude's charming.
Mm.
Gotta give credit. Gotta give the devil its due.
Yeah, I have no like image in my mind. Like when people say the Antichrist, the image that probably comes to my mind is that one where it's Elon Musk wearing the demon outfit and he's like doing, have you seen that? I don't
No.
know. Yeah, yeah. Um, but I have like no conception of what this would, because it's like Antichrist means like
Hmm.
instead of Christ. It's not like
Hmm.
it's not like
Like
opposed.
opposed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a replacement type of thing, like a
Right.
usurpation, you know?
Yeah. I feel like people have Galahad kind of lays this out in his article. Like there's this preconceived notion of what divine order is supposed to be like. And so people have this bias, and then they think anything that's outside of that is demonic, and against the divine order. but maybe the divine order just isn't what we think it is. And so like what we're calling Antichrist, just like we just established, like it won't necessarily be opposed to Christ, and it only will appear that way to the people who are, who really think that they got it and that they know how things are supposed to be.
That was one of the
Yeah.
other things I really liked about it. Like I thought it was good, almost like anti-propositionalism, like in his article, like I tend to speculate in these areas, but I guess I should maybe clarify that. Like with the video I just made, it was called Cosmologos 2, but then I changed it to the Galactic Center 8, I think. And
Mm.
I was kind of worried after posting. I was like, all right, this kind of sounds like this is like what I 100% believe, and that's not, it's more of like an exploratory.
Right. Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think trying to speculate about a potential worldview that might be the case, and I don't really mind doing that
Yeah.
messily. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe there's some danger if like we could be worried about like people who might see what I say and then or hear what I say and then like run with it
Mhm.
or something, but I don't know. I don't really mind.
I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think people are just very sensitive, to put it nicely, these days.
Mm. Not to say that I'm not like completely or that I'm completely blameless or anything, Yeah. The other
Mhm.
thing I thought was really interesting was this idea of kairotic time, where it's like, yeah, as opposed to like Chronos time, because it's easy to think about astrology in terms of Chronos, like the flow of events. Um, but, you know, how do we relate to Kairos time? What is astrology that is not astrolotry? It's like how do we are we just supposed to like completely ignore astrology?
I think the best example is demonstrated by the three wise men, like the magi of the nativity scene.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, use
it
yeah,
needs to
but
be rooted in the logos.
yeah, well, I agree with this. Yeah, but like, what does that actually look like? It's like, what is it?
Hmm.
If we have this powerful psychotechnology at our disposal, it's like, what is the right way to relate to it? Do we just, because we don't want to be astrologers, astrological um, idolaters, but I think there is like a place for it that is, um, appropriate, but also like perhaps important. For one, I think it's like if this reenchantment movement is happening, it's like kind of how do we make sure it doesn't go crazy? There's so many things that come to mind where I think it could be helpful. That whole angle of like the therapeutic astrology through birth charts and stuff, to like I think it can be a powerful tool in that respect as well. Like if you had like instead of going to see a therapist, perhaps you'd go to see an astrologer or something, or like a astrological therapist or something. But I think that, I'm not trying to speak against what he said in his article at all, because that's, I think it's very important that we look at the dangers of this, that we be wary of these things, for sure. But I do think we often tend to only get stuck on the dangers of something, and throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. Um,
I feel
yeah.
like the most responsible way really is maybe to just like not utilize the technology unless it's in the direct service of God or Christ. Um,
Yeah.
like
Well,
in other than that, I feel like it's just not something to
mhm,
be like dabbled in or played with. It should really be reserved for like proper like divination, like emphasis on the divine, like
mhm,
not just for, planning out how your month is going to go or something.
mhm.
Um, the question is just, I guess, then that we're trying to ask is like, how should we use it, or when should we use it? Like, what should we use it for?
I don't really know what the way is in this respect. Um,
I feel like it's important to remember that the planets are associated with the old gods. Um, and this is why astrologer, I think, is such a powerful word. I'm really glad that we have this now.
mhm.
And so it's just we have to like look at the planets, I think, as equals, or if anything, like as less than us, which is ironic because they're above us. But um, well, I guess no, they go below us about every day. I mean, they spend half the time either way. Yeah, and just not seeing them as really any like they're no more powerful than humanity. In fact, they're probably much weaker than humanity is, and that the
Well,
sheer
we will judge the angels, is what they said, right? And that's
right,
also the demons.
yeah,
Whatever,
yeah, the
the
heavenly
the
orders, and
general,
so
yes, the vibe there.
I think the human will is far stronger than the motion of the heavenly bodies or whatever the music of the spheres might have planned out. I think that the human will can overcome it, and oftentimes might be preferable to whatever the planets have planned for us.
In a
And like I
sense, I
understand the
mean,
idea of like that we should be dancing to it, um, but I don't know. It's that association with the old gods that just makes me very skeptical of whether or not their tune is always something worth dancing to.
I can definitely see something in what you're saying there. The danger is this idea of escapism, that that we're in some like prison of, you know, and it's like because like God is revealed in creation, and God created the heavens and the earth. There's definitely something to what you said, man, because I see that a lot, that people get like caught in the astrological pattern without realizing that they're like following along with,
Yeah, it's a good marker of
yeah,
unconsciousness.
yeah. So then I think about, it's not that if we think about it as like the unconscious, in a sense, it's like the unconscious is mirrored in the heavens and we see the same pattern, then it's not that we want to eliminate the unconscious, so we want to integrate and make it work with consciousness, so it's like when we encounter astrology and it gives us this interface with the unconscious or something, it's like to shine the light there and to integrate that would then perhaps look like a right relationship with astrology, rather than just like cutting it off or something. It's like a higher reintegration of it or something. But I really don't know how to phrase it.
Mm.
Because I resonate with both of those so much. The idea that we want to not be ruled by, like the original meaning was like the stars were like rulers, like God placed in the heavens the rulers or whatever is, I believe, how it is phrased. And so astrology would be like the study of the rulers, perhaps, but or the logos of the rulers.
Mm.
It's something of like submitting, like finding your right place in the cosmic order and not um
Yeah,
something like, and
yeah,
being a part of, I don't know, because this idea of theosis, um, I think is really tied up with the idea of like the pattern of reality and like being one with the pattern, being transparent to the pattern. But on the other hand, it's like this idea of not being ruled by it. I don't know how to reconcile them, but Galahad's article I think was really awesome in this respect for just advancing the conversation about this type of stuff.
yeah. I feel like with astrology, it's something that we should let like come to us, and it's not something that like we should go looking into charts and try to like predict the future. It's something that like we should just naturally be able to look up at the phase of the moon and have the phase of the moon present its meaning to us, as opposed to like you know checking on Google, well, what's the phase of the moon, so I can hopefully make sense of like my living situation at the moment to like cope with some given trauma or some anxiety that I'm having. um
I agree and disagree, in certain parts of that. There's an argument that we should just let God, let our experience. I relate to this argument heavenly. Our experience of Christ and God should not be mediated through books, like primarily, it's the book of scripture has to be balanced by the book of nature. And, if we get stuck looking through words, then, we distort our relationship with God. But on the other hand, it's like using these things can help us, can reveal, like, can help us see deeper into the nature of reality and the God's nature, I suppose, or however you want to phrase it. And I think it's the same with astrology, that, like, it definitely seems like it's probably that balance of blindness and madness with regard to astrology.
Mm.
I don't know though. I'm just happy about the article in general.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. It's always nice to hear from Griffin.
Yeah.
Every freaking time, it's just like, all right, finally the conversation is moving forward again, and then the rest of us are left in the comment sections and to just like talk about what he said until the next time he says something, and then the conversation can move forward again.
I hope he does more conversations. People.
Yeah, anything would be interesting, but I feel like his, I don't know what to call it, occult nature, his like the fact that he doesn't show all his cards and that he's not out here in the corner of just like fully revealing himself is part of part of the reason why he's able to go so far and present what he has been able to and move the conversation forward, because he's not getting caught up in the, not that we're having mundane conversations over here, but like compared to whatever he's doing, maybe it is.
Yeah, I think that's a very fascinating topic in general. I struggle with that. I feel two poles in me. On one hand, I feel very called to participate in these spaces, but on the other hand, it's like I'm doing this like kind of against many of my instincts to be, I don't know how to phrase this. It's hard to be so self-reflective here. Like, I don't know if I maybe should have incubated my vision for a couple more
Right.
years before hopping out here. Like maybe I did this a little preemptively, but it was kind of like I just kind of had to articulate what I had in mind.
Yeah,
Because
because it can
I
definitely
was going
be
crazy.
sacrilege. Like if you reveal yourself or something like that in an improper manner or too early, that's straight sacrilege. I mean, we're not in the garden anymore. We have these garments of skin for a reason, and like, I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say. Never mind. But there you can definitely go too far in like you're in transparency, generally speaking. And so it's a hard line to toe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here we are, yo. It's like I'm hopefully, hopefully it's not all a waste of time on my part. Yeah.
No, I definitely don't think so. I mean, everything has its purpose.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't know, hopefully I haven't completely thwarted my publicity or something,
Yeah, I
like
know what you mean. Yeah.
by because I don't know. My plan was initially to, really clarify what it is that I'm trying to say, because Gal had made a point in that video. It's like, don't try and force the puzzle pieces to fit. I think that's, or in his article, grasping at the nature of reality. And it's kind of like I know the puzzle at a non-propositional way. I don't know how to say it, man. It's so freaking hard. I'm just trying to hopefully it doesn't make me out to be some delusion of grandeur maniac, but it's like if I actually was this innocent, not to say sinless, but innocent lad off at college, and all of a sudden God was like, here's a message. Tell people, and I'm just completely out cold for 6 years. It's like, it's like one might think that my abilities in this area, human interaction, intimacy, authentic relating, like these things might be a little difficult for me considering that I like saw this, I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to uh be sincere about be true, in my experience of this. It's like I'm doing yeah, man, I really don't know what to say, but hopefully you kind of pick up on what I'm putting down where I I really do think that the cosmogram tried to come through me prior to Galahad, and I just saw it from a slightly different angle. I got, I didn't, I wasn't quite so articulate, perhaps, and um, but I feel like I was given that type of experience where he had, where he was, staying up night after night, like working on the cosmogram. Like that was kind of my experience as well, where it's like I think I just maybe like found myself in the right place at the right time or something. It's difficult for me to deal with these dynamics. It's like I was kind of thrust into this situation. Like I'm very grateful, It's like I have this secret joy of like, and I, and I just, but it's not a secret. I'm like trying to tell the secret and it's just, I can't.
Yeah, but it's a secret that can't be told.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
don't know, bro.
I feel like maybe the only way to deal with it is just like hermeticism and just what's it called? Asceticism. Like just you just gotta go dark and give yourself up for a long time just in total silence and then it will come.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Like
think,
I think what we really need to do, I feel like part of the problem maybe is that like we're trying to do it, but like this is the work of God.
yeah, you can't force Kairos, like
Yeah.
that's not how it goes, you know. Nonetheless, though, the kingdom is at hand. If we just, the thing, it was a lot to do with like what Gal had said about true vision, right? Like this was very salient to me. It's like, what does true vision look like in a social context? You know, that's basically what, and it looks like the kingdom. That's the angle from which I saw this teleological object. And so when I first saw Galahad's videos, I was like, oh man, this guy is talking my language, and
Yeah, right.
yeah. Um, so that's yeah, so I kind of just scrambled to like get the information out there, but hopefully wasn't too sloppily, and hopefully I'll be able to articulate it more clearly so that I less crazily, so that I more coherently, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there is any like clear cut way to really say what we're trying to.
Yeah, that's what the other thing, you suggested that I should perhaps go full hermit mode for several more years. But I think perhaps another way would be to just um, not be so reflective about it, rather than trying to describe it, to just like to bear it to the best of my ability, to try and be, I don't know, if I really stopped being so self-referential and reflective here and thinky talky, and I just like really immerse myself in the dialogical intimacy that is right on our, despite these layers of technology between us, like there is so, you know, immense beauty that is right, like one step away from us at this moment, in the silence, at any moment, you know, gosh. And so maybe that's my way that I should just, uh, take this more down to earth approach.
Mhm.
I think I've been a little bit heavenly minded of no earthly good or something of that sort.
Mm.
But who is to say?
Mm.
Only God, I suppose.
Yeah, right. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Only God knows.
Yeah. That's my secret joy, man. Like God knows me. God, you know,
Yeah,
God
right.
knows me.
Yeah.
And everyone can have their ideas of who I am based on these recorded videos of one particular aspect of who I am, the version of me that you see when I record videos. It's like, but at the end of the day, it's like you know, there's always that there's always that friend that you can find in the forest when you go alone, and it's like, you're never unknown, you're never forgotten
Yeah.
or
And
something.
God knows all of us. And so I think in the end, like through God, everyone will come to understand too.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
even if, we all have our ideas in our heads right now that are kind of off from what really is. But
Hmm.
I think in the end, like you'll get it. Like we're all gonna get it. Like you'll get me, I'll get you finally. Like and
Hmm.
but it's coming. And if that's how things are gonna end, then it's that's there's nothing to complain about, because
Hmm.
it's really just in the end is how things
Hmm.
end up that's what's important.
Hmm. I can't help but speculate about how this might occur though, because I think it's not just like we sit back and wait for something to happen, and it's not like we do it, but it's like, how do we participate in this? And yeah.
You see, I was tempted to say, I was like, well, the answer is love, but then immediately after that, I mean, you're just moving the goalposts. It's like, okay, so we're gonna call it love now, but then what is that? And then you
Hmm.
can play this infinite regress of
Hmm.
like this word game, but it is kind of something that we do in a sense. Like
Hmm.
it's
Well,
a
yeah,
verb, but it's not really a.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give my 2 cents in this respect. The cross is this thing about, like, it's like what I talked about with Kevin, it's that this is only God can judge you in that sense, and to say in that personal mode of consciousness without neglecting the horizontal, I don't know, there's something there. I think, that shift into the more phenomenological way of relating with each other, for me, the way that I experience it is like it's directly tied up with the perception of others. It's like, how appropriately do I relate to, your image of me? Do I
Mm.
pay attention to it? Do I pay too much attention to it? Do I pay not enough attention to it? Like, uh, do I, um, you know, respect it in like the appropriate way, in the sense of, like, if I just think, nah, no, I know, I don't, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about who I am, you know? But then on the other hand, it's like, I don't know who I am. I only exist in the eyes of others. Like, that's the other hand, right? So how do we, I don't know, and that's something about the vertical horizontal there, I think, is interesting. And yeah, and then love. Always good to love. Forgiveness, perhaps. Why can't we just vibe?
That's what I'm doing, bruh.
Yeah, man. We need more vibes. There's enough thinky talky. I don't know. I'm being flippant because that's what happens when I get emotional. I just start rambling.
What else is going on with you, man?
Um, Not much has changed since we've last spoken. I look out my window for things to say, and I see a big logging truck rolling through the woods. Um, I don't know if it was the town or something decided to clear a big area of forest, and they decided to make the entrance to the forest right next to my house. So I'm hearing these deep rumbling bass notes pretty much all day, every day,
Mm.
which is definitely metaphysically sus. And um, I've been doing YouTube stuff. I've been doing Amazon delivery stuff, and my dad had his shoulder surgery, and it went fine, and now he's healing up
Mm.
pretty well. Did you say that you said that your brother from boxing had something, but was that like a current thing that was he about to
Yeah,
have it or something?
yeah, he just had it too.
Got you.
Um, like on the 29th, I think. So it's been a few days, maybe a week now. Um, yeah, he's struggling because he's not taking painkillers. Well, I don't know if struggling is the right word. I mean, he's suffering, but I think like he understands what it's for. Like he's not suffering for no reason and like wallowing in it. I think he's handling it really well. And he went to church for the first time all on his own yesterday, which was cool to hear. He went to a Byzantine, like a Greek church, um, and there was like a metropolitan there, which is like a bishop ranking like individual,
Gotcha.
which is insane.
Hmm.
They're like touring and visiting a bunch of Greek churches. So Cameron actually got to talk to him a little bit. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, man, that's cool to hear. Yeah,
It's
because I
so
think
weird how my family is so secular and they can look at my brother and hear his testimony and like know where he comes from and who he is now and like what he attributes it to and still like not believe and think that he's just capping or it's just I don't understand how to get through to these people.
Mhm. Just be shining light, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I tell my brother. I'm like I like consider myself as like the propaganda minister for like because it's like me, my girlfriend, and my brother are like basically like what's the word overtly Christian at this point.
Mhm.
And my girlfriend and my brother are both getting a little too like zesty with it and like really like I see them like in conversations with my family or her
Mhm.
family or whatever and they're like trying to sell it and I'm
Mhm.
like okay, I am propaganda minister. All right, meeting. We like this is not
Yeah.
evangelism. Like this is
Yep.
not how we do it.
Yeah. 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 That makes me think though. Like I remember I was talking with um how do I always forget his first name? Mr. Wave of Obsession.
Hmm.
Um and I made the point where it's like, we're not gonna evangelize with like propositions and stuff. But then after posting that, I was thinking, there is sometimes that is what does it for people, like an intellectual realization. And I think that's kind of, um, that was definitely part of it for me is like when Jordan Peterson described, the significance of grace and stuff. Maybe it's just the fact where it's like it has to,
Nah.
you
Yeah.
can't be forthright in the sense that like people have to ask like or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like the secret joy thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really what I think Pajot did for me on like the intellectual front, helping me come to Christ in that
Yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah. Yeah, he helped me a lot as well.
Yeah. And Galahad for that matter with
Yeah.
I always give it up to Apocalypsis. Like I think that that was really the turning point for me in terms of my like Christology.
Cool, man.
No, so yeah, my brother he's doing good, but by the uh glory be to God, honestly. Thank God that he's handling it well.
Mhm. Cool,
Um
man. Yeah, it's good to hear. God bless. All I know is this delay that's hurting my eyes. Making me make a weird face.
remember when I drew the mushroom?
I'm being inflammatory on purpose, but I think everybody needs to trip like twice in their life or something. Maybe not everyone, but it's like
I think everyone needs to trip once in their life, and then other than that, they should be stone sober.
perhaps I think it varies per person. We're not all called to the same life. It's a personal thing, man.
Yo, so did you pay China? Are you telling me that you paid China
I
to
paid
keep
China.
this? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I reluctantly,
I
yeah.
kept wondering, I was like, when is he gonna tell me that we're
And
running out of
this is a
time?
useful thing to study, all right? Because what allows me cave? It's the ease. It's so easy to just pay China and participate with Zoom, you know, but that the ease will be the death of us, people. Yeah. Perhaps that's a good place to end on. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I should probably get back to work.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
man. Cool. Yeah, any final thoughts? Everybody go check out Galhead's article.
Peace.
All right, bro. Peace.